Opera is primal. It's about the human voice that we are born with and how it can communicate emotion. So we have to have a way to get ideas for reinvention. And for me, returning to this place and these manuscripts, it gives me an opportunity to meditate and to create. Hi, I'm Anthony Roth Costanzo, and I'm an opera singer, a countertenor, and I'm here in the Morgan Library with some unbelievable original manuscripts. That is to say, this is the composer's handwriting, the ink, the paper that they wrote this famous music on. Here we have the first printed edition of Gluck's Orfeo. We have some of Gluck's original handwriting where you can see him smudging things out. We have a piece by Georg Friedrich Handel, and of course, a very valued excerpt of Mozart's The Magic Flute from the original score, and then a piece of Philip Glass's Einstein on the Beach, the way he first wrote it. So this is all thrilling to me because it all relates to my career. Handel defined me. It really was my training. It was how I auditioned. It is what I sing every single day. And Glass changed me. Not only did it change my career in terms of Akhenaten taking me to the next level, but also it changed the way I think about performance and the way I think about music and what it can achieve. To be able to actually look at and touch the incredible handwriting of Gluck gives you a window into not only a whole world in history, but into that composer's imagination. So we see here pieces of the original aria that now has become famous, Che farò senza Euridice. And to contextualize Gluck's work, we have Handel, who came before Gluck, and we have Mozart, who came after. Gluck was kind of a bridge between the Baroque and the classical because he was reimagining how we could tell a story through music. So I like being able to look back at this Handel manuscript and imagine a slightly earlier time when the castrati were the reigning stars. Now, when I say castrati, that means castrated men in the 18th century. That's right, men would be castrated so that they could sing high, and those high notes were prized and valued. The castrati emerged as the superstars. They were the reason that it was popular and that it became a staple of European culture, and that therefore, opera continued to exist for all of these hundreds of years. They were like machines. They were trained to be perfect exemplars of this form. And as such, they could often do more, technically, than other singers could do, and that excited people. Now, Mozart is thought of as the sort of composer who didn't have to do anything in order to just effortlessly write a line of music. But here, what I love on this piece of paper is that we see grease stains, we see coffee stains, whatever they might be. So we imagine that he was living his daily life as he wrote these things. But you do see a kind of free-flowing ease with it, and I feel like the stains on it imply that he didn't take himself that seriously or his music, even in a piece like The Magic Flute. Now, when we come to Philip Glass, you might be saying, what is Philip Glass doing on a table with Gluck, Handel, and Mozart? Philip Glass is often referred to as a minimalist. And of course, there are ways in which he is a minimalist, but he's also a maximalist in that he packs in a lot. When we think of Philip Glass, we think of repeated notes over and over and over, and repeated sections, and we see that. But if we imagine Handel, what Handel was doing is repeating little phrases of words. So in an aria like Vivi Tiranno, he will say Vivi Tiranno over and over again. So he's repeating modules, but in Handel's case, it's the words. In Glass's case, it's a 4-bar phrase. Though you might have a bunch of little repeats in pieces, those are the microstructure, there's generally a big shift harmonically that makes you feel something. Now, Gluck took a different approach to repetition. His repetition is much more strophic. In his famous aria, Che farò senza Euridice, you have 3 verses that repeat, essentially, with different material in between. So that is a different strophic repetition that is distinct from Handel. So these are all different ways that these composers are looking at and thinking about repetition. One thing that is so special about having these objects and having access to these objects is that singing is ephemeral. The moment that it happens, it disappears. And this is ink on a piece of paper that exists from the time it was written. So it reminds you both of the permanence of music and its importance throughout history in that sense. So it's fascinating to think about how we combine these physical resources that exist with something that is not tangible at all, but that only exists in a moment of performance.